I tried this about 10 minutes ago, and the live stream just cut out for no reason whatsoever. So I'm trying it again. But what do I want to talk about? Fuck you. I guess what I want to mention is that the lockdowns have not been good for education. A lot of people are, like if you mention this to certain people, they get really defensive about it, and they say, no, the lockdowns were necessary. By the way, there's a difference between the statements. By the way, these two statements are compatible with each other. The lockdowns in 2020 were necessary, and the lockdowns were harmful to children's education. Those two statements are compatible with one another. It's not an either-or situation. Pretty much everything in life, if anybody who's ever had to do something complex will understand that every decision you make involves weighing pros and cons and balancing those things. Everything in life is a balancing act. Everything, including politics. If you're so naive to think that the lockdowns have had no effect on society that's negative, you're really an ideological fucking lunatic, as far as I'm concerned. They have had harm. They have done harm to people. A lot of these policies have done harm. The question isn't, have these policies done harm to people? The question is, are they worth it? Is there a legitimate purpose to these policies? And was it necessary? And do the benefits outweigh the risks? It's always, do the benefits outweigh the risks? It's never... if you don't understand that, it's probably, I hate to say this, but it's probably because you're a sheltered person who lives in a nice, quiet suburb, and you have no fucking idea what the average person in this country goes through. Okay, if you are a poor person who has children, it is very fucking hard for you to find child care. School acts as a form of child care for a very, very large number of people, very large percentage of people in this country. When you take that away from them, it harms them. Not only does it harm them in terms of child care, it harms students academically. And a great example of this is, I teach at a local community college, what you might call a junior college. I teach mathematics, and one of the things that I noticed, because this last semester, this fall 2021, was the first semester since last year that we've held in-person classes. But prior to that, it was all done over the internet. It was all done via venues like WebEx or Zoom. Returning to in-person classes has really been an eye-opener for me. And one of the reasons for that is it's amazing to me how underprepared students are. And we're talking about adults. These are adults. I have taught classes for many years prior to this year. This is the first year where I've had an entire class basically fail a test. That's never happened to me before. I am sure, I am confident that it is the reason this occurred is because of the lockdowns. Students are not being tested the way they should. I believe that a large number of students are cheating on their placement exams. Whereas before they were not doing that. They were being tested in a proctored environment. And people can say that ProctorU and all these, so-called virtual proctoring services are the exact same thing as proctoring in a classroom. I am certain that they are not the same. And even if they were, it's like the quality of instruction that's being provided is obviously not the same between an in-person class and a virtual class. Part of the reason why, and this is something that Gary Mosier will never understand, but part of the reason why we still have a brick and mortar, classroom model is because students learn better when they are forced to sit in a classroom because they have a lot. There's this social pressure aspect of sitting in a classroom. If you're listening to somebody on Zoom telling you to pay attention and stop playing with your phone and asking you questions, did you do the homework for this class period? How do you solve this? Come up on the board and show me how to solve this question. Tell me what's the capital of what's the capital of Ohio? What's the capital of Wisconsin? What's the capital of California? If you're asking, how do you como se dice means what in Spanish? If you're asked questions like that in a classroom in front of everybody, there's a different social dynamic than if you're asked those questions on a Zoom meeting where nobody can see your face and nobody knows who you are, and you're probably not paying attention anyway because you're probably playing Skyrim in the background anyway and you're not paying attention. It's a different phenomenon socially. Liberals, I have to say, the so-called liberals in America, and I know the word liberal means different things in different countries. This is why I would never consider myself a liberal. For the same reason I would never consider myself any member of any party. Just like I would never label myself. Like I might vote for certain policies more often. I might have a tendency to vote one way or the other more often. But I would never, pigeonhole myself as a fucking liberal. If all the liberals in this country are just like sheeple who will just make excuse after excuse for why the lockdowns have not adversely affected educational outcomes in this country. Now, again, it's a different story if you want to say that these lockdowns have been necessary, which I think in some cases they were necessary. That's a very different thing than saying that the lockdowns have not had any adverse effects on educational outcomes, because they very obviously have, and you can see it. I mean, the proof is in the pudding. Look at test results of students from 2019 versus 2020. Look at educational outcomes, 2019 versus 2020 and 2021. If you can't see that pattern, there's something wrong with you. I know for a fact. I mean, I have problems that go beyond anything you could comprehend. Okay, I just had an exam where yesterday where I asked. So by the way, the instructions were show all work. So here's an exam. So I'll draw a little picture for you so you can. So this is the final exam. Okay, so I'll draw a picture for you so you understand what I'm talking about. Show all work for credit. Okay, no partial credit. And then, question 1 is, let's say 72. Well, I don't want it to be too easy, because how about this? We'll do this. 2 plus x equals 3 minus x plus 3x. Something like that. Solve for x. And then so this is 2x, 1x. So then the student would write x equals -1 as a solution. And then, now if I'm a grader, now by the way, I just want to back up for a minute. This policy here, show all work for credit, is not something that I made up. Okay, this is not my fucking policy. This is the policy of my micromanaging boss, who has to, to whom I must submit all of my exams to at the end of the semester. It is not my fault that the instructions are show all work for credit, no partial credit. If it were up to me, this would get full credit, but it doesn't. Now, I'm in a classroom. I can see whether somebody's cheating or not. I can see whether somebody's looking over at the next person and they're just writing. I can see whether or not, by the way, and I can also see whether or not they're looking up their answers on their phone. I know they're not cheating. Okay, if they get this answer, then I'm assuming this is, they got this legitimately. But it's not my fault that this is the policy. But it states very clearly, and I say this, I don't know, I must have said this 100 times, maybe, that when you're taking an exam, you have to show your work for credit. You can't just write the answer. So this is what happens. The students say, oh, I need scratch paper. Can I have some scratch paper? So I give them some scratch paper. And what they do is they take their scratch paper and they write a bunch of stuff. They write like 2 divided into 4. So this goes 1 time minus 2 is 2. And this goes, 10 times. So then, so this is 1 plus 10 over 10 equals 2. And, they write a bunch of shit. And then right over here, they write it upside down. They go, x plus 2 equals x, or minus x plus 3 plus 3x, and then they solve it here, and then they do some stuff, and then they say x equals -1. So that's how they write it. And I'm supposed to and they don't label any of this shit. And this happened to me several times, by the way. This is not just one student who did this, several students. And it's like and then one of them didn't even turn in their scratch work. So I had to email them and have them take a picture of their scratch work and email it to me. So then it's like a blurry, out of focus picture that shows this. And by the way, this is the difference. Like having this information here is the difference between passing the class or failing the class. Okay, and by the way, there's tons of room over here. Look at all this empty space. I didn't draw it correctly. This exam paper is actually massive. There's much more real estate here. So they had all the room in the world to write just something that would justify their answer. They don't do it. And these are adults we're talking about. Okay? This is something that never used to happen, ever. I never had this happen ever with any student. Suddenly, multiple students are having this problem where they can't figure out how to read simple instructions. They don't understand the concept. It's like they have no theory of mind. Like, why would I need to see their scratch work or be able to follow it in some kind of coherent manner in order to give them the grade on their exam. And by the way, I've had in this semester, I hate to say it, but the grades have been abysmal compared to previous years. I feel like I'm not streaming. Am I still streaming? I'm afraid it's going to cut out any time because it cut out once before. Anyway, they've been abysmal, and students are not coming to class. They stay home. That's really one of the biggest problems. When they do show up, I ask them, what's 2 plus 2? This is a great example. This is like a typical day. Good morning, class. How are you today? Are you ready to learn today? Everybody just stares at you like a dog that's been shown a card trick. Okay, it didn't used to be that way. It used to be that, like, 2 people would say, hey, whatever. Let's start out with something easy. What's 2 plus 2? Anybody? Anybody want to answer this? I'll just make up a name. Alan, what is 2 plus 2? I don't want to, because I normally don't want to put students on the spot. But everybody just stares at you, and then sometimes you'll say something like, what's 2 plus 2, and then they'll go, 4. Like what a dumb question. Like, what's your problem? Hey fucker, why are you asking such stupid fucking questions? It's like, that's not the point. Okay, the point is I want to make sure everybody's paying attention. So some of the questions I ask are actually going to be questions you know how to answer. The point isn't that they're obvious. The point is you guys aren't participating like you're supposed to, like it says in the syllabus you're supposed to, which, by the way, you never read. You're supposed to read the syllabus at the beginning of class. We actually have this epidemic where students will not actually read anything. They won't read the book. I had a student say, I need you to tutor me. And I said, I'll be happy to tutor you if you read the worksheets. By the way, every week I put up a worksheet. The worksheet might be 4 pages long because the class is partially online. So there has to be an online component. The students will not just refuse to read the 4-page worksheet. Okay, so I guess what I'm driving at is we have this cultural phenomenon in this country, in the United States, where college students, and I think that, COVID, the pandemic has just exacerbated this, but I think it was present before. People do not want to put everything in their life has to be, a form of It's like either like it's something that someone's forcing them to do, like go to work, and people, I have to go to work, or I have to go to school, or if it's neither of those things, it's like just entertainment. That is not a way to live a well-rounded life. If every experience that you have in your life is either some authority figure is forcing you to do it, or it's entertainment, you're doing life wrong. Okay? Part of the reason why people should go to college is so that they can enrich their life. It's not just so they can get a job, but even if it were, like, it would be in your interest to treat school like it's a job and actually read the assignments ahead of time and get your money's worth. But they don't. But Americans don't even do that. It's like they're lazy. They don't read anything, and it's getting worse. And it's really a sad sentiment that we live in this age where information is at your fingertips all the time. We live in this is the information age, and people are as uninformed as they've ever been. And not only that, they're as unmotivated as they've ever been to learn anything. Okay? And I think that this has dire consequences for the future. I think this trend is actually what's driving conspiratorial thinking. I think it's what's driving the QAnon phenomenon. I think it's what's driving people to vote for people like Donald Trump. And I think it's driving, I think this anti-intellectualism has been with us since Reagan was voted into office. I think it's getting, and I think it's gotten worse every decade. Every year it's gotten a little bit worse, incrementally, since Reagan. And I don't know what to do about it. I don't know what we have to do about it. I want you all to get up now. Go to your window and yell. Open it and stick your head out and yell, "I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take it anymore." All right.